Spiritual Enlightenment. Welcome to a short and new course titled Spiritual Enlightenment, taken from the book Educational Programs by Muteb Alqarni. In this course, we will explore the sources of spirituality, its doors and windows, its levels and scales. It is an important course that seeks to rescue the soul from the darkness of materialism and introduce it into the expanse and light of spirituality. In this course, we define spirituality as a state of feeling in which a person feels that their soul is aroused and moved to connect with something great. What are the methods of arousing and moving this spirit? What are the doors, windows, and sources of spirituality for both religious and non-religious individuals alike? This is the question and focus of the course, so let's get started. Together, we will ascend the ladder of spirituality gradually through 6 levels. 1. The level of awakening, then 2. The level of meditation, then 3. The level of examination, then 4. The level of transcendence, then 5. The level of purification, and finally 6. The level of enlightenment. Reaching the level of spiritual enlightenment means reaching the light at the end of the dark tunnel, represented by the dry materialism. It is a stage of revelation of the luminous and concealed secrets represented by the connection with the cosmic creator force. How do we connect with that force to feel that our souls see a light from distant lights that they have not seen before and reveal a secret of profound mysteries that has not been revealed before? We said that the first level of the spiritual ladder is the level of awakening, which begins when we rid ourselves of the influence of materialism that reinforces in ourselves the arrogance of scientism, which says that science and scientists know everything. Materialism claims that we will not attain knowledge except through experimentation, so any science that discusses what lies beyond nature through the senses is incomplete science. This is a materialistic idea that distances you greatly from spirituality and pushes you to accept only what experimental science proves and what empirical studies confirm. It's a dangerous idea. When you get rid of it, you will feel the beginning of your spiritual awakening and the beginning of awareness and vigilance that there is another source of knowledge that materialism has not cared much about. How do we rid ourselves of the influence of this scientific arrogance? We will rid ourselves of the influence of scientism when we challenge its idea and argue with evidence that proves that scientists do not really know everything. Let's start with the origin of the universe. One of the pieces of evidence that dispel the arrogance of scientism in ourselves is to know that experimental scientists know nothing about the origin of the universe. Pure experimentation cannot precisely reveal to us the origin of the universe. This is an unknown hidden matter. When you awaken and realize that scientists are ignorant and do not know the source of the universe, and that the answer they provide is just a hypothesis called the Big Bang Theory, which is an uncertain hypothesis that cannot be experimented with or investigated, your soul will begin to move to connect with something great, representing a new source of knowledge that does not adhere to the conditions of experimentation. Your spiritual awakening will be enhanced when you also learn that scientists do not precisely know the human origin and their first origin. We humans do not know how we originated on this earth. No scientist claims to know anything about the origin of humans other than Darwin with the theory of evolution, which remains a theory and not a definitive answer. No one knows precisely the origin of the first human. Did we come from another planet? Are we a generation of extraterrestrial beings? Were we created by one creator? How did we originate from the beginning? Everything you hear from scientists' answers is not definitive and conclusive answers. proving that science is not actually capable of discovering everything through experimentation. Science is actually incapable of conducting an experiment that reveals to us our ancestors and our first origin, and this is enough to invigorate your soul. The aforementioned facts can push you to search for another new source of knowledge that informs you about the first origin of the universe and humanity. Another confirmed evidence of the failure of science is that science has not been able to answer the purpose of dreams except to say that they are neural connectors that move in the brain and recall images from memory, which is also an uncertain answer. Scientists do not know what is the benefit of dreams, and why do we see things in a world different from the world of reality, and are they messages and telegrams from another world? Urgent questions for which scientists have not found complete answers. When you comprehend the above, your awareness will begin to increase in strength, and you will begin to lose your confidence in experimental science as the sole source of knowledge. For there is another source you must search for. The hard problem of consciousness is another problem that scientists cannot solve. Scientists also do not know how consciousness is formed from sensory experience, from the five senses, and how ideas, feelings, and decisions are formed through that experience, except to say that they are neural connectors in the brain. Yes, they are neural connectors, but how can a person tell another person that the taste of this candy is like the taste he will find himself, and that the smell he smells is the same as the smell another person smells? How do they overcome subjectivity in human consciousness and convey the idea of self-perception in what is called the qualia problem? Another crisis that invalidates the arrogance of scientism. The goal of all the above is for you to awaken and realize and not be deceived by scientific materialism, for you must begin the search for the spiritual knowledge within you, in what is called intuition. Not all knowledge is available for scientists to subject it to pure experimentation, for neither the origin of the universe, nor the origin of humans, nor the purpose of dreams, nor the self-nature of consciousness is explained through pure experimentation. Intuition is an internal knowledge inherited from your ancient ancestors. Yes, you inherited it within your genes, characteristics, and traits. And one of the proofs that you inherited knowledge is that, as a baby, you will try to save yourself from drowning when you drown in a pool, as you will find instinctive knowledge inside you advising you, saying, "This is dangerous, and you must save yourself." Who taught you this, my little baby? And how did you inherit it as knowledge? This is the big question. Remember that we do not demand that you deny experimental science, but we say that you should awaken and realize that experimentation is not the only source of knowledge. There is another cognitive source inside your soul, and you must extract it with all available techniques. When you surpass the level of awakening, you will begin to ascend to the level of meditation. Materialism became darker when Nietzsche announced the death of God and the beginning of the birth of the Superman. Another dangerous idea that made humans feel their extraordinary power and increased their arrogance, further distancing them from their souls, which in turn distanced them from searching for their God and Creator in the universe. Spirituality is activated when you also rid yourself of this Superman arrogance, so you begin to meditate on creation. Your soul will be activated as you ascend to the level of meditation and begin meditation on the universe, for the universe is a window and a source that increases the spirituality of both religious and non-religious individuals. Look at your position in the universe to feel weak and insignificant, for your feeling of weakness and insignificance will revive in you a feeling of awe, and reverence. The beginning of the spirituality of the Prophet Muhammad was his fear when he saw Gabriel had filled the horizons. Try to look at your size on this earth, then compare this earth to the sun, and compare the sun to other huge planets, just to know how insignificant you are in the universe. Raise your head and contemplate the stars above you and contemplate their lights. Lift your head strongly and look up at the stars. When you only see full dark horizons, perhaps you will feel as if you yourself are falling into the universe. Also, among the sources of spirituality is to contemplate nature, which is an important activity to revive spirituality even in non-religious individuals. Visit the towering mountains, stand before the roaring beaches, wander in the vast deserts to see how small and insignificant you are. Oh, Superman! Feeling insignificant revives spirituality within you and makes you feel awe and majesty. Try to use your senses in this experience to further stimulate your soul towards connecting with something great. Touch the mountain rocks, feel the smoothness of the sands, taste the saltiness of the seas, smell the scent of the trees. The openness of your soul when visiting a tourist landscape, for example, is due to the activation of all these senses during the contemplation. Look, touch, taste, smell, and finally, listen. Yes, listen. Try to observe the sea and listen to its sound and the sound of its waves. Contemplate its sound well. You are now listening to a sound that is over millions of years old, for the sound of the sea is an eternal, timeless sound that has not changed despite the changes of the years. You are now enjoying the same sound that humans listened to over 3,000 years ago, even 100,000 years ago, even millions of years ago. It is an immortal sound that will make you feel how insignificant you are, a point unmentioned in a long chain of distant time. Also, listen to the silence of the mountains, the rustle of the trees, the creeping of the sands, for they are sounds rooted in time, with an age surpassing your counted years of age. Remember that nature is a vital source for igniting human spirituality, whether for the religious or the non-religious. When you look at the vastness and expansiveness of nature, place, you will feel insignificant. And when you look at the distant history and its extension, time, you will feel trivial. Important feelings that trigger in you feelings of awe and majesty, which are feelings that push your soul to connect with something great. After you step through and pass the level of meditation, move up to the third level, which is the level of examination. Materialism became darker when it completely severed ties with the previous era of the Renaissance and Enlightenment, for materialism divided history into two parts. 1. A mythological age, primitive myths which are unreliable, and 2. An epistemological age, a scientific world which is more reliable. Spirituality breaks free from its shackles when it returns to the era of mythology to examine it before declaring its severance with it. Do not disconnect from history. Start traveling to ancient historical landmarks such as the pyramids and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, and the civilizations of Norte Chico in Latin America, and the civilizations of China and its ancient walls, and examine them further. Historical attractions are sources of spirituality for both the religious and the non-religious, as they are windows through which the soul launches towards broader horizons. Try visiting museums and seeing paintings and ancient sculptures from Africa and Asia, etc. Try to contemplate them, examine them, and try to reach the knowledge, interests, and perspectives of your ancient ancestors. Remember that spirituality is the connection with something great. It is connection. So, let your soul connect with your history that carries primitive knowledge specific to you. Start meditation by reading ancient texts, including primitive myths, as they are another source of reviving spirituality for both the religious and the non-religious. Read them to ignite your soul and propel it towards the impossible, where you will find stories of talking animals, the struggle of thunder with lightning, wars of love, gods with fire gods, and much more. Read in Greek, Chinese, African, and Middle Eastern mythology. Try to read them reflectively and examine them. These texts open up the realm of the impossible, and imagination, after dry materialism, replace them with texts that only define the possible and the real. Remember that the soul needs this imaginary impossible to soar, as the feeling of the impossible ignites souls to travel away from reality. When reading ancient literature, also target reading in ancient poetic and prosaic verses. Poetry is another window to push the soul into vast spaces for both the religious and the non-religious. Read in ancient poetry, Arabic and non-Arabic. Try to enjoy the rhyme and musical rhythm within them. The window of poetry leads us to the next window, which is music. Listen to music, as it is one of the sources of spirituality for both the religious and the non-religious. Listen to ancient instruments like lyres, tambourines, drums, and contemplate these first tools and examine them. Listen to the music of Bach, Mozart, and Beethoven as well. Music connects you to ancient history. It makes you feel beauty, a feeling that unleashes the soul to farther distances. During the stage of examination, read sacred texts. For sacred texts are a source that enriches spirituality for both the religious and the non-religious. Remember that sacred texts are linguistically, culturally, and intellectually rich, and it suffices that they carry the element of holiness for their adherents. Read in Quran, Gospel, Torah, Hindu texts, etc. Read these hymns and chants and contemplate how the first human tries to connect with the Creator of the universe. Reading in sacred texts disciplines the soul and accustoms it to understanding the intersections of all human beings. They reveal the ancient cultural thought drowned in searching spirituality, and they get rid of modern cultural thought drowned in strict materialism. When you read in sacred texts, you will discover the holy places of these religious people in this world. Then, decide to go on pilgrimage to explore these pure spaces. For pilgrimage is a rich spiritual source for both the religious and the non-religious. Pilgrimage to Mecca, then visit the Holy Land and travel to see the holy places east and west, for everyone connects to God. When the idea of pilgrimage begins, you will see amulets, talismans, and hanging charms, and you will hear strange hymns and songs. Sing with the religious, as singing is a source of spirituality. Participate and sing, for your presence in a sacred crowd means that you feel peace and tranquility, which is a spiritual feeling. There is no conflict in sacred places. God says in the Quran, "There is to be no obscenity or wickedness or wrangling during the Hajj." Thus ends the stage of examination and its spiritual windows, and the ascent to a higher level begins, which is the level of transcendence, meaning to transcend major human differences. When you visit the holy places and see the pilgrims and visitors from all religious spectra, you will feel the importance of spreading peace with them, for the sacred place requires spreading peace. Peace begins when you connect to the present moment, forget the past grudges and the future turmoil. It is the ability to connect to the present moment and leave behind old and future conflicts. Your ability to connect to the present and contemplate the present moment in what is called mindfulness is another rich source of spirituality for both the religious and the non-religious. When you practice mindfulness, you activate your five senses and connect to the present moment only. By being present and awake, you cancel unfair judgments towards your thoughts and feelings, and you transcend above all that ignites your hatred and conflicts. Here, the spiritual ascent begins, and you learn forgiveness and acceptance towards humans and their inclinations, accepting them all despite their differences. Forgiving is a necessary condition for the expansion of the soul and the beginning of enlightenment for both the religious and the non-religious. For with forgiveness, you achieve the rank of ascetic monks and their transcendence over wars and conflicts. Forgive as much as possible and learn that you seek to reach true knowledge within you, and true knowledge will only be attained by one who is forgiving, peaceful, and worthy of selection and choice more than others. When you focus on the present moment, casting the grudges of the past behind you, and not dwelling on the problems of the future in front of you, you will realize that giving and kindness is the next source of spirituality for both the religious and the non-religious. When you give, you declare that you fear nothing, that you possess the great secret within you, you possess spiritual sufficiency. For the monks are most thankful for the blessings of God, most praise the richness of life, most giving and generous, and least taking and coveting. They have reached high levels of spirituality where materialism no longer has a place in their souls. By sympathizing with humans and giving them what is possible, material possessions will fall out of sight and spiritual possessions will begin to grow within you. Here, you stand on the threshold of enlightenment. After transcending differences with humans and refining yourself to accept everyone without annoyance, regardless of their cultures, religions, and perspectives, and believing that everyone is seeking the Creator of the universe, you will begin to ascend to the level of purification, which is a higher level than transcendence. In purification, you purify and cleanse your inner soul from harming not only humans but also animals. Transcendence is transcending differences with humans, which requires a spiritual ascendance through giving, forgiveness, and spreading peace and security. Purification, on the other hand, is purifying the self from the desires of conflict with humans and even non-humans, including plants, inanimate objects, and animals. Purifying oneself from harmful desires is a refinement of the soul and prepares it to receive Al-Karama, the miracle, and Al-Asrar, the secrets, as the miracle is not granted to envious evildoers. Al-Karama, the miracle, is a gift and a graciousness, and it is only obtained by the generous through their kindness to humans, and the noble through their purity with non-humans. The miracle is only obtained by the generous. So Jesus, son of Mary, obtained it as prophethood through his mercy and kindness to others, and the chosen one Muhammad obtained it for his generosity with humans, animals, trees, and by his call to spread peace. This is the stage of true prophetic selection, and then the righteous obtained it in the form of Al-Karama, the miracle, not An-Nubuwah, prophethood. So the veils and divine secrets were revealed to them, and they felt spiritual inspirations and saw the luminous signs of God. This is the stage of selection and choice, which requires disciplining the self from desires and evils. This is what the monks do. They fast from the desires of the souls that veil their hearts from receiving divine miracles. Since purification means purity, purification and cleanliness are conditions of selection and qualification for this true knowledge. Therefore, performing ablution, ritual washing, and wearing clean clothes are important conditions for receiving divine inspiration. Your daily bathing and attention to cleanliness will bring you closer to the pure Creator of the universe, His angels, and His pure messengers. Therefore, you will find the monks more concerned with the cleanliness of their clothes. This is the stage of reception and revelation. Try to always be in a state of ablution and purity, in washing and cleanliness, and in bright white clothes. Try to get rid of filth, believing that the pure signs of God will not reach you unless you are pure and clean. The feeling of purity enhances spirituality in souls as well. After purity and cleanliness, the importance of prayer comes. Prayer is called salat because it is sila, a connection with God. And since it is a connection, it is a source of spirituality that pushes your soul to connect with something great. Start the stage of communication with the Creator of the universe. Pray and draw closer to Him by pleasing Him so that He chooses you for His knowledge and wisdom. The righteous used to draw closer to God by frequent connection and prayer. Pray to God and communicate with Him. Remember Him, praise Him, and glorify Him, for praising the Creator of this universe is the beginning of earning His satisfaction and love. When you earn the love of God, He will grant you and honor you, choose you and teach you. This is a necessary illuminating stage that requires humility, surrender, praise, appreciation, and reverence for a greater power than yours, and knowledge greater than yours, and few people do that. After praising the God, the Creator of these universes, decide to supplicate, communicate, and send. More than just asking and supplicating, this is the value of recitations and remembrances, which are sources of religious spirituality. Call upon Allah to remove the veils from you. Try repeating, for example, "O Allah, open for me a door of knowledge," 100 to 1,000 times. Repeat, "O Allah, teach me from your knowledge," 1,000 times. Repeat the supplications of the Sufis. Supplicate to Allah in the morning, afternoon, and evening, saying, "O God, remove the veils from me. O God, reveal the secrets to me. O God, enlighten my heart. O God, enlighten my sight." 1,000 times. Repeat the supplication for seeking knowledge, as supplications, repetitions, and mantras are rituals. And rituals are a rich source of religious spirituality. Choose a specific supplication and repeat it 1,000 times. When you repeat the recitations, supplications, and remembrances as the righteous do, you will be closer to God, first by praising Him and then by supplicating to Him. Supplicate and repeat, then observe the divine messages and messengers surrounding you. You will find someone guiding you to a matter concerning you, obstructing your path, and alerting you to an important matter. The beginning of enlightenment is through messages and messengers, visiting you and obstructing your path in the form of humans. This level of spirituality requires firm faith that eliminates the slightest doubts of materialism, hindering you from reaching this intuitive knowledge. This is the highest level of intuition, where your intuition is so strong that you can sense that what is obstructing you now in terms of events, signs, and people are divine messengers sent to fulfill your specific requests. When you see the messengers, you have reached the level of enlightenment, which is the last stage of the spiritual ladder. The veils have been lifted from you, and you will begin to perceive the good and merciful spirits surrounding you. It is the feeling of the presence of God Almighty. You will feel that God has become closer to you than ever before. As much as you are close to God, God will be close to you. Allah says, "Whoever comes closer to me by a span, I come closer to him by a cubit, and whoever comes closer to me by a cubit, I come closer to him by a fathom, and whoever comes to me walking, I rush to him." Divine messages will come to you swiftly, and you will feel the disclosure and spiritual light for the first time. All of this comes through repetitions, abundant praises, and continuous supplications, for this is the spirituality of the religious. Finally, the true vision will appear, especially since it was the beginning of the revelation of the Prophet Muhammad. His wife, Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, said, "The first thing with which the Messenger of Allah was initiated into the divine inspiration was true visions in his sleep. Every vision he saw would come to pass like the breaking of dawn. The abundance of your thoughts about the presence of Allah, your frequent prayers and sacrifices, and your abundant praises and supplications will make you see his messages and signs in your dreams. Whoever cares about something in his day will see it in his sleep." There is no religious reservation in seeing a true vision, as true visions are for the prophets and the righteous. We do not say it is the beginning of prophethood, but it is the beginning of al-karama, the miracle, and it is something with which Allah honors his servants. This is the highest level of spiritual enlightenment, as you will see in your dreams the luminous angels and the profound messages, and you will reach messages and knowledge that only the knowledgeable can attain. Here we finally come to the conclusion of the Spiritual Enlightenment course. In this course we have learned a lot, and the best thing we learned in it is that spirituality is a journey that both the religious and the non-religious can embark on and reach specific levels of it. It is a journey that begins with the level of awakening and the realization that empirical scientists have not reached everything, then moves on to the level of meditation, where you become aware of your insignificance in your contemplations of nature, and from there to the level of examination, where you explore ancient historical sites and begin to read sacred mythological texts, then travel to the sacred precincts and shrines, transcendence level, where you elevate yourself with the pilgrims by spreading peace, then purify yourself from desires, then praise and approach God alone, purification level, until you see his messengers and messages in your wakefulness and your dreams, enlightenment level, which is the highest level of spirituality. This course, Spiritual Enlightenment, is taken from the book Educational Programs by Muteb Alqarni.